Hey guys, what's up? We are back with yet another episode of Mr. Phonecast. This is episode number 6, and this one's going to be slightly different because we generally talk about consumer technology, but today we're going to be doing enterprise technology. It's an interesting field, and how that works differently is something that Vivek is going to explore. Plus, we're also going to be talking about this really nice, all-in-one system out here, which has got a new design and form factor. It is pretty interesting, and I'll let Vivek talk about it. So first, before that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon right next to it. And thank you, Vivek, for being on our show.
Thanks a lot for having us here.
All right. So Vivek is the head of brand for the commercial solutions group at Dell India. So I'll let you take forward from there.
Sure. Thanks, Ershad. Good morning to everybody who's listening to the podcast. So I have been in the industry now for 17 odd years, like you just said. Started off as a product development engineer, building software products for customers in the US. Did a lot of consulting for around technology for enterprise companies in the US and Europe. And the last 10 odd years I've spent in India, largely doing management consulting in the IT, ES, technology and telecom space.
Okay.
And 6 years now with Dell. In different roles, started off in corporate strategy on the server side, and last 2 to 3 years have been on the commercial client solutions side in a product marketing role.
So you talk about Internet of Things, you talk about cloud, and you talk about enterprise technology in general. But there is definitely a difference between enterprise and consumer technology for our audience, which is generally clued into consumer technology. Yeah. We would want to also educate them on what enterprise technology is and what's the difference like. Like, for example, you could talk about maybe even something as simple as the laptops that a general consumer buys and what you get for enterprise, or you can build on from there.
Sure. So see, I think it's a very good question to start off today's conversation, right? So I'll give you the broad differences. See, the consumer technology largely at a very high level focuses on price as well as features which are more specs and feeds driven around aesthetics. Largely lightweight devices. At the same time, give the device the performance to play basic. If it's gamers, the cards which support gaming kind of workloads, etc. Since I come from the commercial side, let me spend more time on the other side. So when we talk about commercial portfolio, let's take the example of notebooks itself. I think there are 3 broad areas, right? Reliability, security and manageability. These are the core tenets of commercial design. In that, if you think about, let's say, the Latitude brand that I lead in India, see, on each of those pillars, right? When we say a commercial notebook, the Latitude notebooks today are tested on what we call as MIL 8.5 military grade testing, which some of you are already aware, which are very rigorous tests which ensure that the device, for example, when dropped from a certain height, does not get damaged. It doesn't stop there. There are more rigorous tests, up to 17 or 18 odd tests that are done on the device itself. So reliability and specifically the kind of testing that goes into making the device reliable is a differentiator. The other interesting part, manageability, right? I'll give you a statistic. Commercial enterprises, if they spend $1 buying a device, they spend 7 to 8 times that money in the entire life cycle of the device, in managing the device. So it is very important to ensure that the device in terms of features and the software that you bundle with the device ensures that the manageability part of it is handled in a very optimized fashion. So think about some of the software that Dell provides on its commercial notebooks, starting with Dell Client Command Suite, which works with System Center, for example, which ensure that the entire device lifecycle and the costs associated with that are optimized and automated on different fronts. So that's one part of the software. Today we are offering something called as VMware Workspace ONE, which is again an endpoint management software which goes with our notebooks, which gives you the best unified endpoint management solution in the market. So how you manage the device is the second aspect where I think the commercial portfolio has clear differentiators. The third aspect is manageability, and third one is security, right? Again, on security, there are very different features. For example, hardware level security like TPM, which comes with commercial notebooks and even some of the fixed computing solutions. Software again, which gives you facility or features to protect data that is at rest in motion. threat defense and endpoint security software, all of that I think play a huge role. So broadly across these three pillars, there are multiple features that you see in commercial class endpoint solutions which differentiate you from the consumer side.
Wonderful. That's great. Now let's get talking about the Optiplex 7070 Ultra itself. This is a very ingenious product. I've taken a look at it. It's got the PC inside the stand. Unlike typical AIOs, this is the first time that the Dell has done it, or anybody else for that matter has done it. What purpose does this solve?
Okay, again, so I'll give you a little bit of the backstory, right? So that the innovation on fixed computing started 25 years ago for Dell itself, right? When we launched the Optiplex as a brand in the market. Since then, if you looked at what's been driving desktop as a category within PCs itself, I think there are lots of interesting insights. See, desktop as a form factor within PCs is very relevant today.
Right.
The reason I say that is our customer and research has indicated that there are very specific workloads and use cases which are around non-compute intensive general administrative tasks, for which your system responsiveness is more important than sustained high-end performance. So that's where the desktops offer the right price to value kind of a trade-off, and because of which it is still relevant. And then obviously it offers you various features which give physical security as well as software level security. Now, it is that which has driven desktop innovation. Now, why Ultra? Very interesting question. So a lot of the innovation that has gone on within fixed computing has been around space saving design, starting with small form factor. You had the micro form factor come in, and then the all-in-ones. Then as Dell, as we started speaking to our end customers, we are a company which is extremely customer focused, right? We work always customer backward. So we went ahead and interviewed some of our large customers, enterprise customers, and developed an emerging markets, and asked them basic questions. What do you want to see in fixed computing devices from Dell? And what are your current pain points that you want addressed? So there were two very important statistics that emerged from the survey. I think more than 80% of them said they wanted choice at the time of a device upgrade. What that means is they wanted to independently upgrade the compute module from the display. It's a very important input into why the Ultra is there today in the market. Number two is, in addition to obviously reducing footprint, which was an important ask for most of our customers, they wanted a clutter-free work desk environment, because a lot of our customers are embracing open workplace concepts and culture, right? To foster teamwork and collaboration within their organizations. And so reducing the clutter on desks, which enables employees to see better face to face, and just making it more relaxed and I think collaborative was a big ask.
I can see that happening right now.
Yeah, and if you look at the Ultra that is in front of you today, you can clearly see some of that, right? You have a single cable through which you can power the display and the compute module. More importantly, the compute module doesn't occupy any space on the desk.
We have one of the compute modules around, right?
Yeah.
Let's just show them that.
Perfect. So just take a look at this, right? So this is your compute module that comes with the Ultra, and it actually very neatly hides inside the display stand.
It looks damn cool.
So it occupies no space on the desk. And it has not compromised on any enterprise class features. All the ports that you require in a fixed computing solution of this scale is available. It has the best memory, storage up to 2 terabytes, 64 GB, memory, all of it. The 8th generation mobile U-series processors, which are apt for the as I said, non-compute intensive general administrative task, this is designed for. So I think we've optimized across multiple vectors and brought the Ultra to the market today. I'm pretty proud about that.
So what is the initial reaction that you're seeing for this? You must have shown it to a few potential clients of Dell who are already with Dell. What is the kind of reaction that you're getting from people who have seen this already?
The first announcement to the world was at the VM forum, which happened, the VM World, which happened I think a couple of months ago. Since then, we've had the opportunity to showcase this at the Dell Technologies forums, which is our marquee marketing event in India. So we showed it to a lot of our fixed computing as well as PC customers, and all of them were extremely excited. And right now me and my team are kind of following up on some of those initial questions, because it is a true innovation, right? So it's pretty exciting. A lot of good feedback that is coming to the team. So we're looking forward to ensuring we use the device and then solve customer pain points.
Right. So how different is this stand-based AIO different from like a display-based AIO? What are the advantages of having something like this?
Okay. So one clear thing, right? This is not an AIO replacement at all, right?
Wonderful. Okay.
So what in layman's terms, what this does is it actually extends the possibility of what an AIO could offer.
All right.
By giving customers choice and flexibility. Right? So to give you a quick answer, see that the AIO is designed for a certain purpose. For example, graphics intensive workloads on fixed endpoints which require a certain type of processor is what the AIO is designed for. I'm just giving you one of the use cases. However, the Ultra actually now gives you customers the opportunity to use this compute module with existing display infrastructure.
Right.
So therefore, think of this, right? Let's say a customer today has a legacy display infrastructure which he's already purchased and has been using. What you should understand is also that the innovation that happens on compute is 3 to 4 times faster than what happens on the display.
Right.
So a lot of times when customers have to upgrade an infrastructure,
they're looking for compute upgrades.
They only want to upgrade the compute.
Right.
Now, if you are already buying AIOs for, a lot of our customers end up buying AIOs because obviously it gives them lower footprint. It's a great product. But however, when they have to upgrade, a lot of times the display upgrade also, comes along with it, which they don't want. The Ultra actually now hits that sweet spot in the market where it's giving choice to our customers, which a lot of them value.
Right. That sounds interesting, definitely. So what kind of industries or what kind of commercial setups do you think will adopt this new form factor? Like you mentioned, for people who don't require that kind of compute power but want responsive systems. So what kind of industries do you think are interested?
Sure, definitely. So in India, if you see, are the biggest buyers of desktop, and I'm not giving it in a particular order, but if you think about it, banking, financial services, BFSI as an industry vertical, and then you have public sector, which is government and similar industries. Also, ITES and BPOs. Right. These are some of the large consumers of fixed computing devices, and there, if you look at what they need, I think the Ultra is a great option today. Zero footprint. These are organizations that have large employee bases, but their leaders, both at a CEO, CFO level, and even the CIOs, are continuously being tasked with doing more with existing OpEx. Right. That is where I think these computing solutions, especially the Ultra, will give them a huge value proposition in terms of managing more from existing budgets, in terms of reducing the real estate on the work desk, to name one real advantage. And then the other aspect is obviously the choice to not upgrade display, still just upgrade the compute, which is relevant to all these 3 industries. And these are specific industries where, in addition to just providing security at the software level, companies place a huge value on the physical security of the compute module.
Right.
If you think about the Ultra, you have a chassis intrusion switch that comes along with that.
Right.
You have a locking facility as well, because they don't want employees to even physically carry the compute module out in and out of the
which is possible actually.
It's just possible, and although there are measures taken, we always have some case of pilferage and people taking the device itself out, which can also be managed. So
sounds interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So
something that we wouldn't do, but okay, that sounds very interesting. Some interesting facts being revealed out here. So you mentioned that it reduces workspace and IT costs as well. How does that happen? Like, could you elaborate on that bit? For example, you mentioned that OpEx reduces as well. So if you can elaborate on that bit, that'd be nice.
Sure. So the zero footprint design, right? So today, if a desktop, for example, a micro, for example, is, if you just look at the volumetrics, depending on how it is mounted, it is a 3 liter or lesser chassis, right? So, and the volumetrics that come with it. Now, and this, if a person is using a micro, or if a tower, for example, there is a certain desk space that he has to allocate, as for example the facilities team has to allocate. Now the direct savings that would come from here is you can pack more compute or free up space for other activities within your existing real estate infrastructure.
Right.
So that is one clear business case, that I can, and companies can quantify that depending upon the scale at which they operate. And then the other advantage, as I said, is, the display cost that you now save.
Yeah.
Because display, as I said, refresh happens much later and is a much slower innovation cycle on that front. So now by buying the Ultra today, you can get the best of both worlds. So to that extent, you can again make savings from a IT purchase standpoint.
Now, what's interesting is that innovation generally happens on the consumer technology front, and for this to actually happen on the enterprise technology front, that's definitely something that's really cool. Do you think that this kind of design, a form factor will move to consumer technology as well?
So see, I manage the commercial product portfolio, so therefore I wouldn't have visibility on what is coming on the consumer side. But knowing Dell and the way we operate, we always collaborate a lot between consumer and commercial. To give you an example, a lot of the innovation that you today see on the Latitude line of notebooks came from the consumer side. The XPS innovation on materials and making the device smaller, lighter, etc. was borrowed. So I would anticipate that that can happen from here, now from Ultra over to the consumer side, but however I wouldn't have the visibility into when and how that will happen.
But it should happen. I think there's definitely an audience out there for something like this, and I think that there's an opportunity for Dell to actually invade that space as well.
Yes, the market opportunity is there. Let's wait and watch what the consumer portfolio looks like in the coming months, but yes, the opportunity is there.
Sounds good. So before we close this conversation, which was absolutely great, what is it, the one thing that sets Dell apart from the competition? I think
the innate drive to work customer backward. For us, customer is always number one. A lot of the innovation, be it in the CSG side, which is the client solutions group that I am part of, or even on the infrastructure solutions group side, is all driven by deep customer research and feedback we've heard from our end customers, which has really set us apart in the market. I think that would be one key thing which I would really like to call out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Vivek. That was an interesting conversation for sure, and we'll keep in touch. And that's it from us. That was our 6th episode of the Mr. Phonecast podcast. Stay tuned for more videos. Until next time, this is Ershad from Mr. Phone signing off. Goodbye.
Thanks, Ershad. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much.